And welcome back to the studio again. So now with me we have Jenny from Flowers by Moira and an award-winning Chelsea gold medal winning florist, actually, second generation. And we have Paul Smyth, a horticulturist who is well known for lives every evening. So hello, Jenny.
Hi there.
And hello, Paul.
Hi, everyone.
Jenny, what were you up to today?
So today was a good day for us. It was our first wedding back since lockdown. So we were delighted to be out creating again for weddings. So really excited just to set up for the event today.
Oh, that's lovely. So a little bit of normality creeping back in.
Yeah, and then the usual humdrum of the shop's always busy. So it's a busy day in the shop. I'm hiding away in the stockroom upstairs, a little bit of a quiet away from the madness. But yeah, no, good to be getting back to normal life after COVID. Well,
good, absolutely. Yeah. And do you like my lovely flowers?
Beautiful, yes.
Thank you so much for them. We got a present each from Jenny this morning, Adele and myself. They were lovely to get, a really lovely delivery. And Paul, what were you up to today?
So I was doing a couple of garden centre recce's today. Myself and Dermot were running around. I work with Dermot Gavin and we were looking for plants for a particular project we're doing. So we were running around 3 or 4 different garden centres from one to the other and looking at plants, which is what I do every day anyway. So it's like any other day.
And Paul, do you find yourself kind of, picking up plants as you're going along and, even when you're going shopping for a client, do you add to the collection for yourself in the shopping trolley?
Yes, it's always a problem because you go in with one thing in mind and then you see the perfect plant for somewhere else or your own garden or whatever, and you end up picking it up and going, I had not planned on buying this, but that's one of the problems. And that's why your garden turns into a jungle because, yeah, you can't help yourself. Well, I can't.
Okay, I get that very much. Right, I have a couple of questions in. The first one, Paul, which roses smell the best?
Ooh, good question. There's lots of very good roses that do smell. One of the better varieties to go for, not individual ones, but as general kind of broad term ones, are the David Austin varieties. And they are bred to be disease resistant, number one. Number two, they're bred to have quite good scent, a lot of them. There's one in particular, a climbing rose called Gertrude Jekyll, and that has the most fabulous scent. It's such an amazing climbing rose, a really deep pink color, not unlike that dahlia color there, really bright, vivid pink, and it's just got the most gorgeous perfume. So that would be the one I would go for.
And does that need to be tied up as it's growing, or how do you encourage it?
That particular one would need to be, tied up to some sort of framework, either against a building or over a rose arch, a pergola, or on a fence or whatever. So that one you would. There are different varieties. One, Olivia Rose Austin, is one that David Austin named for his granddaughter, which is a kind of shrub rose and not really heavily scented, but it is a very good all-round kind of rose and a great disease-resistant one, which is important because roses are susceptible to so many different, pests and diseases. It's great to be able to get ones that are a bit more tough.
And it also makes it more easy to grow organically, does it, if they're disease resistant?
Yeah, and that's true of not just roses, but any plant. If you go look for a plant that has been bred with a bit of disease resistance, it will mean you'll rely less on chemicals and you'll be able to just garden in a more organic way. So always look for a disease resistant variety when you're buying any type of plant.
And would it be written on it, or how do we know? Do we have to Google it, or obviously go on your lives and have a look? But is there any way you'd know?
Often will be written on it. There are a certain one, like there's blight resistant potatoes that are called the Sapporo range of potatoes, but you really just have to do a bit of research and try to find out resistant varieties to whatever it is, be it apple scab or whatever the plant you're looking for that wants a bit of resistance. So you need to do a little bit of research, especially if you're looking for a specific type of plant in the garden. Just do a small bit of research, it will pay off, and then try to find it. It's always easy to do the research, easy to find the plant you want, very difficult to find that exact plant when you go into a garden centre. So take the advice of whoever's in there too. It's always good.
Or follow you and go around 3 or 4 in a day to find the one you want.
Yeah, for that.
Jenny, should you remove the stamens from lilies?
Yes, you should. Not just for the fact that the pollen, that will come off and can discolor clothes, anything like that, but also lilies can be toxic to some animals, cats and different things. So it's just once you see them once a lily opens, we would just tend to remove them.
And is it only the stamen that's toxic to cats, or is it the whole?
Yeah, I think it's more the whole lily. Well, there's a couple of things that are kind of not necessarily great for pets in general, but lilies is one thing that's kind of we advise if this cat in the house, not necessarily a great thing, but just once you see the bloom opening, just remove them and that'll avoid, it's more, I think, people getting them on nice white clothes or getting them in the car or something like that, that the stain will persist for a little while.
Sellotape, a nurse told me years ago, helps you take it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get a gorgeous bunch of flowers. What do you do? How do I condition them?
So whether you get a bunch of flowers or a gift, or you're buying them for yourself, a clean vase, I'd always say just start with a clean vase. Make sure you clean it out either with a little bit of bleach or Milton, something like that, just to remove any residual dirt or bacteria that's left in there. And that's basically what will keep it, keeping the vase clean, and the water clean will keep the vase life longer of the flowers. So, and then topping, changing that water every couple of days, and a clean vase will always keep it longer. And recutting the stems will allow you to keep it longer as well, and also just to remove any foliage or leaves that are in the water that will turn the water bad as well.
Okay, and how often should you change the water?
Every 2 to 3 days, depending on the heat. Every 3 days we would say, but if it's a very hot room, I would do a little bit more. And also making sure that there's enough water in the vase, just top it up. And you don't want to fill right to the top, but just make sure every stem is hitting water, and then just top it up.
Okay, and Paul, what can I plant to encourage bees into the garden? The top 5 plants.
Ooh, that's a great question. And top 5. I mean, there's so many, and I'll give you a couple. But one thing to note when you are picking them, and I think I spoke about it a bit earlier, are the dahlias, or any type of flower. See those flowers that are all double and kind of more bred by man? They're not as good as this variety of dahlia, which is a much more open flower. And you see there, the pollen is much more accessible to the bees. So go for open flowers. So all of the daisies, things like salvias are great. Bees and butterflies love the color blue. So the sea hollies or eryngiums are very good. Nepeta, catmint, lavender is a great one to attract them. They love that color blue, but they also love a big open flower. Foxgloves. This is a Chinese foxglove I've got in front of me, but look at that. That's a perfect place for a bee to get up into the flower, and little hideaway for them too. So think of, a bee is doing one job in the garden, and that's going around collecting pollen for itself, because it has its own kind of purpose in mind. But while it's doing that, it also does lots of good things to the garden and for the gardener. So we have to encourage them into the garden, and putting these open flowers that they can access lots of food to is an easy way to do it. And any plant really is better than none at all.
Good. And Jenny, what's your favorite flower to use in flower arranging?
Oh, I think I'm a bit fickle like that. I think it changes every season or every time we get a delivery. I probably still kind of like roses, kind of, would be kind of a staple one. But again, once it kind of goes into springtime, I'm definitely a fan of tulips. I think it changes, and I think it changes probably, every.
And that actually brings me on to another question I have. How can I stop tulips drooping after I've cut them?
Tulips one of the only flowers that will grow after they're cut, so they're growing in length. So to keep them, what we would say is when you get them, maybe just wrap them in a little bit of paper upright, cut them, and that way it'll drink the water straight up the stem and become more turgid. That way it won't lilt as much or bend as much, but it's going to try and reach the light. Basically, it'll just veer towards the light, and as it grows, so just keeping the stems trimmed as well.
Excellent. And Paul, can I grow vegetables in a window box? Is another question we've in.
Absolutely. Yeah, they are, if you only got a window box, that does not mean you can't grow veg. It means that you're limited, that you can't grow absolutely everything. So big roots like potatoes and carrots and turnips and all those things you probably want to avoid. Although if you get a deep enough window box, you can't even grow baby carrots. So don't shy away from that. But things in window boxes that are great are herbs, but they're not really a veg. Lots of the salads are really good. Things like radishes, lettuces, anything like that, just quite small, is really good for a window box. And also, when you're growing something there, always grow veg that you like. Don't grow veg just for the sake of growing veg. Grow veg that you're going to like and going to eat. Don't grow salad because salad is easy to grow. Grow whatever it is veg-wise you really, really like. And if it means having to get a bigger container, I would do that, because there's nothing worse than having a load of something that, I don't like lettuce, and having tons and tons of lettuce at the end of the season going, what am I doing with this? You can't really make, you can make lettuce soup, but it's always better too.
Brilliant. That's excellent advice. Thank you both for coming on. I believe we have an unexpected guest who's going to pop in behind Paul there for a second.
I might have to go find him if you want to.
He's gone missing again, has he?
He is. I'll try to get his attention if you want to.
Yeah, go on. Well, Jenny and I'll have a little chat while you're gone if you like.
Yeah.
Jenny, what flowers do you cut from the garden? Do you have, I know we looked at Paul's garden, but do you ever go out and pick sweet peas or something out of your own garden and bring them in?
I don't have much of a garden, but my mom has a lovely garden. So I went and I robbed a little bit from her garden. But anything, I think it's sometimes just nice to even have a little bud vase or a little bottle, just even on bedside locker, anything that that you enjoy. It's always nice to bring it from the outside in. I definitely think to have something inside bedside locker, it's lovely to have. So I'd say you have a little bit, even if it's a couple of stems of mint or a little bit of a leaf or anything like that is always lovely.
That's interesting that you'd mentioned mint, actually, because I'd never think to
mint.
cut it and take it into the house.
Smells fab. Love it.
Yeah, that's really clever. So just a couple of buds. I have a very sad little garden, but a couple of buds and a bit of mint, and we'd be happy.
Yeah.
I was laughing about Paul saying about the not growing stuff you don't like. My garden's full of fennel, and I hate licorice, but I might cut that and bring it in. Excellent. Okay, and what is your... Dermot's back, is he? Sorry. Okay, so we're back over to Paul now. I have loads of people gesticulating. Hello.
Found someone.
There's somebody else in the room that we weren't expecting. So hello, Dermot Gavin. How are you?
I'm great. Really great. Well done on this. It's a brilliant initiative.
Thank you so much. We're having a really good time. The amount of support we have had from all industries has been absolutely, genuinely mind-blowing. Everybody's got behind us 100%. And a friend of yours is actually going to start us off tomorrow morning.
Oh, is Dermot on? Did I say something on Instagram?
He sure is. First thing tomorrow morning, he's on to launch us for Sunday. So we're looking forward to that.
Dermot is amazing. He's brilliant, and he has people just react so well to him. He's wonderful.
Well, we'll have to get you back on next year. Paul, you've been amazing. Thank you so much. You're 1 in a million. Jenny, thank you. You're also 1 in a million. And thank you to Johnstown Garden Centre for sponsoring our gardens. And we'll be back live later on.